Imagine this. You're texting her every morning. Good morning, because you think it shows you care. You respond in seconds when she replies. You double text when she doesn't. And deep down, you're hoping that by being consistent, attentive, emotionally open, she'll see your value. But something strange happens. She starts pulling back. Her replies get colder, shorter. She skips a few days. Then she starts posting stories with other guys, smiling in ways she never smiled with you. You sit there, staring at your screen, feeling something heavy drop in your chest, confusion, panic, disbelief. You tell yourself she's just busy. You wait. You hope. But what you don't realize is this. She already knows you want her, badly, and she already knows she can have you whenever she wants. That's the problem. Most men believe being yourself is enough. That if you're a good man, if you show up, if you express your feelings, it will eventually be rewarded. But here's what no one told you in the game of modern dating. Your raw self doesn't sell, not because you're not enough, but because most women are addicted to one thing more than love power. The kind of power that comes from making you dance emotionally, from watching you orbit them, from seeing how much of your attention they can control without having to commit anything real in return. You think she ghosted you because you did something wrong, but the truth is, you did too much. You gave her certainty, and for many women, especially in today's attention economy, certainty is poison. Certainty ends the thrill. When she knows exactly how you feel, when you're always available, when your words flow without restraint, you've already lost your mystery. And without mystery, there's no chase, no wait, no tension. And without tension, she looks elsewhere for someone who doesn't flinch. There's a harsh truth you need to hear. Your presence isn't automatically attractive. Your vulnerability isn't always respected. Your consistency isn't always appreciated, because when it's not earned, it becomes noise. It becomes weakness. Women don't admire effort if it's desperate. They admire restraint. They admire the man who doesn't need to prove, the man who doesn't flood her with energy unless she's earned it, the man who values his attention like gold, not charity. You want to realize your true attractiveness. Start here, learn to be missed. Not by disappearing completely, but by resisting the urge to always fill the silence. She delays her reply for 2 hours. You wait 4, not as a game, but as a posture, as control. You don't need to react. You don't need to chase. You let the space speak. That space is where your power lives. Most guys don't fail because they're unattractive. They fail because they bleed attention too easily. They get emotionally involved before anything is even real. They imagine futures after 2 good dates. They overthink one cold text. They project fantasies onto women who haven't earned them. And then they give, until they're emotionally bankrupt, wondering why she stopped appreciating them. Here's the truth: a woman won't see your value if you place it in her hands. She has to discover it despite your silence, not because of your emotional flood. Stop texting her every day if she doesn't initiate. Stop offering plans if she flakes twice. Stop explaining yourself to someone who isn't listening. That's how you begin to awaken your attractiveness, by protecting your energy like it matters. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to be cold. But you do need to be unavailable when you're not respected. That quiet distance, it's magnetic. It forces her to wonder, to remember, to reconsider. Because once she knows you're not afraid to walk away, once she knows you're not glued to her mood swings, that's when she starts leaning in. That's when she starts chasing. And don't confuse attraction with validation. Just because she flirts again doesn't mean she's back for real. She might just be testing if she still has access. That's why you don't reward minimal effort with full energy. You observe, you assess, you let her prove her intent, not just her interest. You see, most women are surrounded by noise DMs, likes, Men offering attention without cost. What makes you different isn't how loud you are. It's how quiet you can be without folding. How strong your presence feels when you say nothing. That's the kind of man she remembers, the one she couldn't read. So stop performing. Stop seeking permission to be attractive. It's already in you, but it only activates when you protect your self-respect like a sacred boundary. You don't need to chase her attention. You need to become the kind of man whose attention she's afraid to lose. Have you ever done this and didn't realize it pushed her away? Tell me what happened. What's the hardest thing you've faced when trying to keep a woman interested? Drop your story below. Which mistake do you see yourself making the most? Be honest in the comments. So let's talk about that moment. The one you probably never admitted out loud. You're lying in bed, phone in hand, scrolling through the same conversation thread you've reread 5 times. You're trying to decode the last thing she said, the tone, the emoji, the silence that followed. You see her active online, but she hasn't replied in hours. You think, did I say something wrong? You debate whether to send another message, something funny, something casual, just to get her attention again. But deeper than that, beneath all the overthinking, is a quieter, more painful thought. Why doesn't she want me the way I want her? That question is what destroys men in silence. Not because you're weak, not because you're emotional, but because no one taught you the emotional rules of this game. You thought dating was about showing who you are. But for many women today, dating isn't about connecting, it's about feeling powerful. And you're her mirror. If she can see herself as desirable through you without needing to commit, she'll keep you around. Not as a partner, as a reflection. That's the role most men fall into without realizing it. Emotional mirrors. She tells you about her day, vents her stress, flirts a little. But when you ask to meet, she's busy. When you talk about something meaningful, she changes the subject. When you pull back, that's when she suddenly remembers you exist. And you think that means you've regained ground, but you haven't. You've only reminded her that her mirror still works. So let me be brutally clear with you. Attention is currency, and you're spending yours on someone who doesn't invest anything real in return. Every reply, every compliment, every emotional reassurance you give it has a cost. And when she doesn't pay that cost with effort, commitment, or consistency, you're just leaking value. You're being used to fill silence, not build connection. The most dangerous thing a man can do is give before being chosen. You give your time, you give your energy, you give your loyalty to someone who hasn't proven they deserve it. Why? Because deep down, you think it's how you'll finally be seen. You believe that if you just show her enough, she'll choose you. But that's not how attraction works. Women don't choose you for trying harder. They choose you for being harder to get, for making them earn your depth. Want to break the cycle? Here's the first tactic. Never reward inconsistency with access. If she goes cold for 2 days, you don't respond the minute she warms up. You match pace. That's your power. She texts you dry. You don't write a paragraph. She flakes without apology. You don't offer another plan. You protect your time. You treat your attention like it's something she has to qualify for. Second tactic. Test her intent early. You're not afraid to walk away, even if you like her. That means you watch what she does, not what she says. She tells you she's interested, but never initiates. She's not interested. She likes your posts, but doesn't engage in real conversation. She's farming attention, not building connection. The moment you stop ignoring those red flags, you stop being a mirror and start being a man with standards. But here's what most guys fear, the emptiness that comes after pulling away. The silence, the what-ifs. What if she never comes back? What if I was too cold? What if I miss my chance? But that silence is where your true attractiveness begins. Because it's in that space that you build your emotional discipline, the kind that women feel but can't explain. That calm, controlled energy of a man who doesn't flinch just because she's not responding. You see, women chase one thing more than attention certainty in their own desirability. And if you make that too easy, you rob her of the very thing that keeps her engaged. When she can't predict you, she thinks of you more. When you're selective with your words, they hit harder. When you're not always available, your presence becomes rare, and in today's world, rare is attractive. But don't just go silent to punish. Go silent to protect, to observe, to wait and see what she does without your energy. Does she reach out? Does she lean in? Does she notice the shift? Or does she let it die? That's your test. That's when you know whether she wanted you or just wanted your attention. Most men are so afraid of losing a woman that they never realize they've already lost themselves. You've given up your edge, your boundaries, your quiet power just to be noticed. But if you have to beg for attention, it's not attraction, it's humiliation. And that's not a cost any man should ever pay. So from now on, ask yourself this before texting her again. Am I doing this because I value her, or because I'm afraid she'll forget me? Because if it's the second one, you've already given her the power to decide your worth, and that's never attractive. Have you ever caught yourself texting out of fear, not confidence? Share that moment below. What's the boldest thing you've done to protect your energy from someone inconsistent? Have you ever walked away and did she come back, or stay silent? There's a moment every man remembers even if he doesn't talk about it. You finally decide to pull back, not because you want to play games, but because you're tired. Tired of being the only one reaching out. Tired of explaining yourself. Tired of trying to fix the emotional weight she keeps dropping at your feet. So you stop texting, you stop initiating, you wait. 1 day, 2 days, nothing. And suddenly, it hits you like a punch in the chest. She doesn't care that you're gone. That moment can break a man if he's not ready. But here's the deeper truth she noticed. She absolutely noticed. But she didn't chase because she didn't need to. Because up until that point, you taught her this: you'll always come back. You'll always fold. You'll always be the one who misses more, cares more, needs more. And now, she's calling your bluff. This is the test most men fail, the moment of silence where you find out what you really meant to her, not through her words, but through her absence. And this is where most of your attractiveness is forged, not when you're charming or funny or sweet, but when you stay silent long enough to find out the truth. Most men panic, they break, they reach out again just to feel something, even if it's rejection, because rejection feels better than being forgotten. But the truth is, you were never forgotten. You were just placed on a shelf, a backup, a maybe, a just in case. Do you understand how many men are stuck in that exact role right now? Not because they're unattractive, but because they don't believe they're attractive unless a woman tells them so. That's the emotional trap. That's what's really stealing your power. You think attraction is about looks, about money, about confidence. But it's much simpler. Attraction is about tension, controlled tension, the emotional friction between what she wants to feel and what she's not sure she can have. When a man makes himself fully available without requiring her to earn it, the tension dies, and so does the desire. You want to know why some guys, the ones who seem careless, even cold, keep pulling women back in? It's not magic, it's not manipulation, it's detachment. It's the quiet, internal belief that he doesn't need her. And because he doesn't need her, she leans in harder to prove she's wanted. That's the dark psychology of it. The more you signal I need you to stay, the faster she searches for the exit. And I know what you're thinking. But shouldn't I be open? Shouldn't I express how I feel? Yes, you should. But not until she's proven she's earned it. Not through her charm. Not through her body, through her consistency, through her ability to stay, through her willingness to invest back. So here's the next strategy. Only open emotionally in proportion to her investment. This is hard, because most good men want connection. You feel something strong, and you want to share it. You want to give. You want to bond. But if she hasn't earned that part of you yet, then giving it away is a mistake. Think of it like this. You don't hand your house keys to someone after one dinner. Why would you hand your heart to someone after a few good nights and sweet words you test first? Always let her wonder how you feel. Let her try to impress you. Let her ask about your day instead of you always asking hers. Let her sit with silence once in a while and see if she breaks it. And when she does, when she leans in, then you give, bit by bit, slowly, calmly, not because you're afraid, but because you're in control. Women are emotional creatures. Yes, but they also crave emotional leadership. They want to feel that you are stable, unmoved by highs or lows, unshaken by drama, unaffected by withdrawal. That's the essence of attractive masculine energy. Calm, present, selective. You don't get there by being nice. You don't get there by over-explaining. You get there by feeling everything but reacting to nothing. So what happens if you pull back and she never comes back? Then you win, because the wrong woman left. The game ended early. You didn't waste weeks or months performing for someone who had no real interest. You didn't bleed energy into a ghost. You walked away clean. And that's rare today. You want to know how to realize your true attractiveness. Start honoring the silence that follows when you stop chasing. That silence is sacred. It reveals who's real and who only liked your attention. Have you ever felt that panic during the silence and gave in too early? Share your story. What's one moment where you knew she only wanted your attention, not you? How long could you go without texting if you knew it would show you the truth? There's a bitter truth few men ever accept. You can be everything she says she wants, and she still won't choose you. You can be kind, you can be stable, you can show up, listen to her problems, remember her favorite drink, offer your jacket when it's cold and still. She'll chase the guy who ignores her, who forgets her birthday, who replies with one-word texts. Why? Because attraction doesn't follow logic, it follows emotion. And emotion is created by imbalance, tension, polarity, the friction between what she feels and what she can't fully grasp. That guy she keeps running after he creates emotional chaos. He keeps her wondering, her mind is busy, her ego is challenged, and her feelings stay active. You, on the other hand, you gave her peace. But before she was ready, before she earned it, so she didn't value it. She felt safe, but not excited. And that's the crack where most good men fall. You're taught to lead with kindness, with vulnerability, with emotional availability. And those traits are powerful, but only when delivered from a man who knows when to hold them back. Because if you give too early, she doesn't see generosity, she sees desperation. If you open up without making her work for it, she doesn't feel lucky, she feels bored. The psychology is brutal, but it's real. You'll see it play out again and again. A man who did everything right watches her run to someone who does everything wrong. And it breaks him. He questions himself. He thinks something's wrong with being good. But the problem isn't goodness, it's the timing of that goodness. The lack of discipline. The inability to protect your emotional investment until you've seen what she's willing to give. This is how you start building your quiet edge, not by changing who you are, but by controlling who gets to see who you are. You start by being neutral, emotionally composed, present, but not eager, interested, but not attached. You listen, you observe, you let her talk, but you give nothing away. Not your future plans, not your heart, not your commitment, until she's proven through real-world behavior that she's worthy of seeing that side of you. Let me give you an example. You're talking to a girl you really like. Great banter. She seems engaged. You make her laugh. She opens up about her childhood. You feel that little spark and your instinct. You want to lock it in. You want to let her know you're into her. You want to see her again soon. So you text the next morning, "Last night was amazing. You're honestly something special." Pause. You think that message shows confidence. But in her mind, that message closes the story. It removes mystery. It confirms her control. Now she knows how you feel. She has no reason to chase. No need to prove anything. She might thank you. She might even say it back. But watch her behavior after. It shifts. The game is over, and you handed her the win too early. So here's what you do instead. You end the date on a high. You go home. You don't text right away. You let the silence breathe. You let her wonder. Let her think. Let her reach. And when she does, you don't flood her with praise. You stay measured, curious, calm. You don't rush into another date. You create space. That space activates her emotion, not your words. That space builds tension, and that tension creates attraction. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about showing that your care is earned, not automatic. This is how you become rare. Because in a world of men who are eager to please, the one who waits is unforgettable. The one who holds back without bitterness. The one who stays calm when others overinvest. The one who never brags, never rushes, never begs. He is the one she remembers. Your attractiveness doesn't live in your looks, or your career, or your words. It lives in your center, in your ability to sit with silence, to allow her distance without collapsing, to wait for her investment without panic. You want her to feel something real. Don't just give her compliments. Give her the gift of earning your interest. And when she earns it, reward her in small, powerful doses, not all at once. Let her feel it. Let her savor it. Let her miss it when it's not there. That's how you stay in her mind. Not as the guy who tried too hard, but as the man she still can't figure out. Have you ever confessed your feelings too early and felt the shift afterward? Share the story. What's one thing you said or did that you wish you had held back? When was the last time you let a woman earn your attention instead of giving it away? You want to know the hardest part about becoming truly attractive. It's not about looks. It's not about charisma. It's not even about confidence. It's about learning to sit in silence without reaching for validation. It's about walking away from a woman who makes your heart race because her actions don't match her words. It's about knowing that your value is not on trial in every interaction. Most men never make it that far. They fold in the quiet. They chase when they feel ignored. They explain themselves when they sense confusion. They try to convince her that they're worth it. And in doing so, they lose the very energy that made them desirable in the first place. Let me tell you something that should shake you. The moment you feel the urge to prove yourself is the moment you need to pull back the most. Because that urge, that's not attraction, that's fear. Fear of being overlooked, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being alone. And fear, no matter how polished, always smells like weakness. Women can feel it, and whether they admit it or not, they react to it the same way every time they distance themselves. So here's your final, most powerful strategy master: emotional indifference. That doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you become cold, rude, or manipulative. It means you become emotionally unshakable. She doesn't reply for a day. You don't flinch. She seems distracted or colder than usual. You don't panic. She tests you with little mind games. You don't take the bait. Because you've already decided one thing you will not perform for her approval. That's the quiet war every man must win. When you stop auditioning, she starts observing. When you stop chasing, she starts questioning. When you stop over-explaining, she starts leaning in. Why? Because silence makes space. And in that space, she finally has to decide, do I actually want this man? Or do I just like how he makes me feel about myself? Most women today are surrounded by men who offer immediate emotional reward, men who overcommit, overinvest, overpromise. What makes you different is your emotional cost. When a woman knows she can't easily win you over, she evaluates you differently. She studies you, she respects you, or she walks away. And both outcomes are wins. You're no longer in the business of proving yourself. You're not a product, you're a man. And the men who realize their true attractiveness don't give it away. They test, they wait, they walk. Because here's the truth that will liberate you. Your silence is more powerful than any compliment you could give. Your disinterest hurts more than a rejection. Your calmness drives more curiosity than any flirty text. She won't remember what you said. She'll remember what you withheld. She'll remember that time she expected a reaction and got nothing. She'll remember the moment she pulled back and you didn't chase. That's when she questions her power. That's when she reconsiders. That's when she feels. And here's the deeper power. You're not afraid to lose her. Because a woman who needs you to beg is already gone. A woman who punishes your silence was never secure. A woman who can only stay when she's worshipped will never love you, only the reflection of herself that you provide. So stop chasing closure. Stop trying to get her to understand you. Stop rewriting texts to sound more attractive, more clever, more kind. Stand still. Be clear. Let her feel the tension of your restraint. Let her wonder if she ever really had your full attention because maybe, just maybe, she didn't earn it. This is where your true attractiveness reveals itself. In restraint, in stillness, in silence. Because a man who doesn't need attention to feel worthy is the most dangerous man alive. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.